Good afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry, and welcome to my channel. I'm glad you somehow stumbled upon this video. Lucky for you, I guess. This is my first Destiny video. I have lots of experience. I've been playing since Destiny 1, going all the way through to now. Not really any, long-term breaks. So I have a very extensive knowledge of this game, but I identify as a casual because unlike a lot of the mainstream community that like puts out all the content that saturates the meta and everything, I have a 9 to 5. It's really like a 6 to 6 a lot of days because back on history of me, like I'm a mechanical engineer who turned army, and so now I don't really have time to do that kind of stuff. I have two kids, and so really that's why this video is going to be kind of botched. I have like sort of a script-ish. It's just some notes on my phone, but I really wanted to take this time to elaborate on two very key points about the casual community in Destiny. For one, I want to go over like basic build overview and like how to do, for all my friend groups out there who are like, man, we love this game. We still love this game even amidst all the terror that is, all the bad news bears coming out in their streams about how this game's dead and all this stuff because believe it or not, my fun and enjoyment of this game is not dictated by the highest end of players who constantly, think that failing the hardest things in the game means that this game sucks now. And then also like, I genuinely enjoy playing with my friends, like my friend groups, and even some of the LFGs I've done over the years have been some of the most enjoyable times of gaming of my life. So that's why I fell in love with the game, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna kick this off with just like some live gameplay here while I talk about the mythic difficulty in the game. I'm gonna be kind of an opposition in like a very small way to a lot of the like streamers out there because a lot of the most noteworthy streamers out there are saying, well, mythic is too hard, but like, the difficulty doesn't make any sense, the scaling is too high, and the worst part about it is the rewards are bad. Well, yes and no. And so what I really like what I those things are valid claims because Mythic, as you can see, like I'm running Tommy's matchbook right now with Phoenix Protocol and Well of Radiance. So you caught me in a downtime here because I was like started to record and then like just like kind of like lost where I was at and whatever. But I mean, I want you to observe like everybody knows like everything in Mythic is a bullet sponge and primary ammo weapons are not very good at dealing DPS. We're all pretty much tracking that, right? But as you can see from this footage, like even though I'm playing it pretty carefully, there's two things to consider. One, I am by myself, so I mean that's abundantly obvious to all of you watching that, I'm basically just standing here alone with nothing else going on my screen, just hosing the boss, which is out, honestly, you're right, very boring. And then B, the fact that even though I'm using a primary, this is, and again, Tommy's matchbook damaging me. This is pretty easy. Like at no point during this am I like, I mean, I'm talking, recording a video while I'm just clearing the first area, moving on to the next, right? And so the reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about generic casual build crafting for the average player. So if you look, I'm just using a Phoenix protocol and a Tommy's matchbook with Well of Radiance to chain wells back to back. Primary ammo damage generates supers faster. Now, the reason I mention this specifically is because a lot of players, especially my friend group, right, they want to make builds, but they make builds off of purely fun and what's enjoyable to them, which I 100% encourage because I play this game as a casual to have fun. I don't I don't play this game with terminal objectives, which kind of goes into my state of the game portion, but what I mean by that is, I want to show y'all a clip that is actually let me just close that. I want to show y'all a clip that my buddy sent me, this video from Sweatsickle. I know if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've seen this one and you probably know where I'm going with this, but I just want you to listen to the next 10 seconds.
I've been getting asked nonstop the past week how I'm feeling about the expansion, and I refuse to answer because I think the raid is the biggest determining factor on whether an expansion is good in the eyes of the community or bad in the eyes of the community. And
Again, I'm trying to make this video as succinct as possible. The reason that I bring this up is because we're looking at an elite player, and I'm not disparaging Sweatsickle or, whatever, any of the other content creators who think similarly. I think there needs to be that high end of content for people to challenge themselves. I am a big masochist playing all the Souls games and stuff like that. But at what point do you sacrifice your casual player base to people that are literally judging their reviews of an entire expansion off of like 10 to 20% of the content being smushed into a raid? So like me personally, I don't know if any of you have seen My Name is Bife. Like again, I'm assuming most, like all of you know who My Name is Bife is. New players may not. He's like the lore guy. But I had an absolute blast playing this campaign, especially because I was getting into it. I was with a party of three of my friends. We were running through it, and we were really just immersed in the story. We were enjoying it, and even though we were like, "Oh, let's try the contest rate out," we still had fun. We had a great time in the content. We weren't just speed running it for the sake of I got to get to the raid ready and stat and status and whatever. We just sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed it. Again, I'm a father of two. I got a full-time job. I'm playing this game for my own personal enjoyment, and I love walking up on a group of ads in the campaign and Nova bombing 30 dregs, right? This game is enjoyable. The combat loop is addicting. It is fun, and making your own builds is the pinnacle. And this is alluding into the next problem. This video basically goes over how the raid was super buggy, which is true. Like there were a lot of problems in terms of like damage checks and like Bungie trying to like remove loadout swapping as a thing, but then this all goes back and begs the question, who cares, right? Because ultimately, if your definition of fun in Destiny 2 is your ability to beat the contest mode raid, then you're basically banking your fun on a coin flip. Like you might get a good LFG team, maybe your six friends, you all go in and two of your friends don't play very much, they're bad, whatever have you, and now your contest mode raid's chalked, and then you're like, well, guess no fun in Destiny, game's dead. Like this sucks. That's a terrible way to look at this game, and I feel like more and more we're seeing content creators pushing the meta and pushing like content in that direction where it's like a raid contest whatever. I mean, there's teams muting their streams, including theirs. I think I didn't watch any, but there's teams muting their streams so that nobody else gets a competitive advantage. I understand that it's competition, but this is not a competitive video game. This is a video game about being a space wizard and annihilating hordes of enemies as you defend a crumbling world against the darkness, right? Like this is just a cool, fun game that I've enjoyed and never not had a blast in. And so this is again the state of the game portion, but I did contest mode. I did not beat contest mode, but you know what I did was have an absolute blast of a time in contest mode with my five of my friends that I know in real life. And in our contest mode attempt, we figured out the mechanics on our own to two of the encounters. We were able to get to damage phase consistently in two of the encounters. We just couldn't put out. One of my buddies was running you know, like just a legendary machine gun that he picked up in the campaign because one of my buddies was in our raid group that hadn't played in 5 years. I was beyond thrilled to hear that my buddy Dylan wanted to play a raid with us after not playing Destiny in 5 years. So we went into contest mode with the expectation that hey, we're gonna just go in, have a good time, try and clear it, have some fun. And that's exactly what we did. We figured out the encounters, that was fun. We had an absolute blast getting to damage phase and realizing we were just tickling the boss and it was just suboptimal, you know. Naturally, I had the most damage every time. I say that to go into like my build crafting point because I use basic things. And so I just want to say I would really like to encourage the community, especially casual players, to assess like what does endgame look like? Because the reason I brought up that Tommy's Matchbook well build from that mythic solo I was running in the background earlier is to show you that it's still hard with a pretty optimal build. Why are you playing mythic anyway? Mythic does drop higher powered gear, but if you're comparing a 64 roll to a 70 roll, 6 stat points, like, oh, I'm OCD, I can't get that perfect 100 or 100 and whatever in grenade. It doesn't matter that much. Even the weapons being 200 versus 100 is only a 10% increase to boss damage, and there's plenty of other ways to achieve that. So again, I would offer to play this game for enjoyment, because that's what's driving the community away, is the enjoyment is being lost on mindlessly grinding through just tough content because you feel that necessity to increase your power. There is no reason to increase your power right now for anything other than that one pinnacle spot in the seasonal activities where you got to be like 360, 410 to like do content. Why? Like, why do you even want to do that content anyway? Like, I'm enjoying just running my buddies who haven't played in 5 years through dungeons and raids. Like, we're doing Vault of Glass on normal tonight, etc. And so now I'm going to get into my build overview portion. Ties in together, but this will be super fast, I promise. And again, this will probably be the last Destiny video I ever do, unless there's requests and whatever. So I want to talk about two very specific things. For one, for all new players, returning players, what have you, you will never, ever do bad damage, what I would consider to be just objectively bad damage, if you understand at least two of these things. So it looks complicated. This is also a chart made by Court, who is, very known throughout the community. I'm going to assume most of you know this, so I'm just going to touch it. If you have weapon surges active on your boots as modifiers, that's a damage increase, stacks multiplicatively with empowering buffs like Radiance, Well of Radiance, Empowering Rift, Ward of Dawn, with Helm, Lumina. So you can combine a buff and you can combine it with weapon surges on your armor as mods, which combine multiplicatively. And then if you have somebody debuff the boss, like a hunter shoots a tether, somebody's using tractor cannon, right? You're further multiplying your damage. So you understand these at a base form, you will never really do bad damage. Now, what I would like to show you is two examples. One is Llama's video of highest DPS for, I'm just using Warlock as an example. I want you to watch this, it's very short. Again, for my casual and returning or new players, I hope you caught that. He just put out an insane amount of damage. That part is true. But he had to loadout swap in the middle. Loadout swapping is, with certain exotics disabled, certain activities, it's, you lose some stuff, diminishing returns, yada yada. But essentially, I just fundamentally do not believe in loadout swapping, because it is not necessary to kill any boss in this entire game, period. Contest mode is different, because this raid was partially Bungie fault on the fact that the bosses had such high health and it was so unforgiving that without loadout swapping you would be hard pressed to find any weapon that was capable of the total damage and DPS combination in order to reach the damage. But essentially what we're looking at here is a very, very powerful build, to his credit, super strong. But let me ask you this, if you are spending 2 hours a day maximum, usually say 5 hours a week, or you play a few hours on the weekends with your friends to have fun, are you expecting, you go into a raid with your LFG, are you expecting anyone to be doing this? The answer should be no, because that's realistic. Like, as soon as this damage phase culminates, I'm not going to find it, but he literally says, oh, there we go, because he finally was able to do it correctly. Right? And so I'm not saying that it still wouldn't do more damage than something basic, but that's why I want to bring up, I do like basic damage testing on the Ogre solo a lot, just for curiosity's sake. And I want you to look. I put down a Well of Radiance, use a Hazen Vengeance with Bipod and Cluster Bomb, just dump all of my rockets, grab my Merciless, and just full auto the boss. It is practically impossible to mess up this rotation. And we're looking at a total damage of, say, like 3 million. If you saw, I was able to get his health down past half as a solo player. That's an easy 2-phase on a dungeon boss. Could you imagine if your whole LFG team in a 30-second roughly damage phase was hitting over 3 million damage? That was not hard. That was super easy to do. And that's why I say, like, the knowledge and understanding of the average player knowing, hey, I don't have to do anything crazy. I don't have to do weapon swaps. I can just shoot all my heavy and then shoot all my special. And you can put out better DPS than your average teammates are going to find in an LFG. And I think more players would be willing to do raids if more of the community understood this concept. Because again, it feels like everything is gate kept by this. All over YouTube, you type in Destiny 2 build, best build. This one's spectacular. Okay, it's not lying to me. Best build. Starfire is not the best. Meta Titan, best hunter, top builds. It goes on forever. What is the best build if everything's the best build, right? And so again, the thing driving this community down the drain is that if everybody is running the same meta best builds, if they're swapping rotations like that, your average player can't execute it. You also have a large portion of the community that's like, that is way too complex, so I'm just going to use what I enjoy because there's value to that. My buddy Dylan, he likes to use weapons because how they feel and they look cool. I love that. I have no problems with that. I will raid with him all day, every day. And all I do is assist him in understanding how to buff that damage, how to debuff the boss, how to use surges correctly, right? And just through that, we can kill every raid boss in the game. And so what I say is, like, again, the fun is removed from Destiny when you start really, these are great examples to give you ideas like, oh, I never have played Strand Titan. Let's start here. But the fun of this game is coming up with builds, right? And so an example I will show of good videos to watch if you are that rising player who's like, I'm way too good to just do like dump all my heavy and special, is something like Aegis's videos, right? Where he does like...
Since slugs have higher damage per shot than Tractor, a lightweight based shotgun, the rotation focuses more on the slugs, only involving Tractor to keep the scientific method uptime and the boss debuffed. Sleeper's pretty straightforward. Most players are at least...
Aegis makes by far the best DPS analysis videos in the game. The problem is when you start looking towards some of his higher, his like higher...
Like a
his higher priority list, like number 5 on his list of top DPS rotations, you start to get into very complicated things. And again, I'm speaking primarily to casual players here when I say you do not need any of that. Here is what I do, tying this all together. You have the Destiny 2 data compendium. I know pretty much most players that play Destiny know where to find this. I'll link it down below. I'll also link the damage spreadsheet I'm about to show. But essentially what you have here is the information down to specifics and percentages of everything in the game. I know not everybody cares about math, but as an engineer, I just can't get enough of it because I'm a nerd. But, so what I did is I come down here and I'm thinking, okay, well of Radiance, right? 50% super regen gives enough energy on kill where I only have to kill roughly, let's say, 5 enemies and I already have half my super back. And then I go, okay, well, let's look at the DPS spreadsheet, because my problem with mythic difficulty in the campaign is that I run out of special and heavy and then I'm shooting a boss with a primary. So what's my highest damaging primary in the game? Well, as a matter of fact, it's Tommy's matchbook. That's really interesting, right? So then I combine, I'm like, those synergize perfectly. Combine Tommy's matchbook, Well of Radiance, Phoenix Protocol, and now I have this infinite loop of the most infinite damage I can deal while also having refunding supers. It's safe, and I'm not accounting for the fact that I have 2 other teammates benefiting from my well. I'm using a buff, right? And so again, I'll make a whole I'm not going to promise that, but if people want me to, assuming this video gets more than 2 views, I'll make a video on like lots of like generically good builds, fun builds, things to use for casual players that are effective, but really it's the concept of build crafting that I think is so important, because how are you supposed to have fun in a game when you just log into YouTube, copy the build you see, use it to run the raid that you're like, I gotta run this raid. It's the peak of Destiny is doing the raid thing, and you just gloss through the campaign, the dungeons, the story. You didn't make your own build. Like, your build defines not only your playstyle, but it's something to be proud of. Like, hey, I created this Void Titan build with the Void Glaive that shoots the bubbles used with Helm of Saint 14, and now I'm doing Ward at Dawn, bubble, melee, and a bunch of enemies on pretty high difficulties. Like, stuff like that is just fun, and that's what keeps me engaged in this game, and always has for the past, 10 to 13 years, however long Destiny 1 came out ago. And I just want to say, like, bringing back Destiny to the time when I was in high school, of me and my buddies all excited for the Tuesday reset, so all six of us could jump on and run a Vault of Glass. That still exists for the casual community. I would just stress that prioritizing what the highest level of players think about the game, as opposed to your own personal enjoyment and your own interactions with LFGs and friends, is just going to ruin the fun for you and continually drive players away. So that was pretty much all I had to share, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Again, let me know if y'all ever want to see any content from me, opinions on anything. I assume the answer is no, because this was a rather long video. I apologize for that, but I appreciate y'all tuning in. So thank you for your time.